Hello, my name is Kunal. My student ID is ST20319525. I am talking about MSM7047 Global Corporate Sustainability JD.com. Introduction to JD.com. The presentation focuses on JD.com, one of the biggest technology-based retail and logistic companies in China, as it is currently serving over 6 million jobs active across customers across the globe. Established in 1998 by Richard Liu, as the company has transformed into a multifaceted ecosystem which includes retail, logistics, healthcare, cloud computing, and artificial intelligence. The discussion is based on two significant areas of sustainability, including global challenges and opportunities, and the cultural diversity and social impact. The suggested issues are discussed in the context of Bloom's taxonomy as the knowledge of operations of JD transformed into a knowledge of the world. Sustainability theory and practice, data analysis, performance assessment of strategic answers, and development of recommendations of the prospective character. Global challenges, market competition and risk. JD.com is one of the companies for one of the most dynamic e-commerce markets in the world and has a strong competition with Amazon, Alibaba and Alibaba. The global challenges of uncertainty in the economy, fragility and supply chain and the changes in the digital regulations and significant issues. The situation has been limited by the currency fluctuations, inflation and trade tensions and enhanced consumer spending operational costs. The pandemic also received a weakness in the logistic model of just-in-time used by JZ, as assured by millions of Chinese manufacturing centers. The other critical issue has emerged by the environmental sustainability, with the target of becoming neutral by the year 2060. JD.com will have to demerized by logistic-based and switch to the renewable energy sources. Meanwhile, international data protection regulations, including the GDPR of the EU, would need to considerable compliance changes in the cloud and AI services offered by JD. But it is in these difficulties that opportunities are presented. JD has a well-organized supply chain management logistics which places in the position to adopt these areas similar to the understand and apply level of problems because of the identification of problems and their relatedness sustainability frameworks of the identified opportunities through innovation and globalization. The globalization's ecosystem at JD.com has expansion opportunities that are sustainable. Its GD Logistics division as one of the largest self-operating distribution system in the world, with up to 24 hours coverage of almost of the entire population of China. Inventory management based on robots, drones, and AI technologies have contributed to a reduction in the carbon emissions and increase in efficiency. Another driving force in growth is a global partnership in the efforts of Southeast Asia, Europe, and Latin America. JD speeds of and experience of digital commerce implementations and practices renewable energy in new markets. The example of Green Stream initiative shows how JD is a leader of reducing the use of packaging. Since 2017, it has minimized over 100,000 tons of plastic waste. Simultaneously, inclusion programs of the JD technology assist the small businesses and rural sellers in entering the online economy considered. Through the analysis of level of bloom, JD.com world expansion can at least to the fact of sustainability innovation became a part of the corporate strategy. Sustainability integration and risk management. JD.com views sustainability as a mitigation risk and value creation mechanisms. It's a green planet strategy to committed to ensuring that it's achieved net zero carbon operational emissions by 2030, incorporating renewable energy, low carbon fleets, and principles of a curricular economy. JD of the It is now possible to find partially solar operating warehouses and slowly being phased out of the diesels, trucks or the electric vehicles. Although these developments have been taken place in their army's threats, increasing data center energy requirements in the company make it the carbon emissions intensive and environmental performance monitoring in the network of incentive supply series of difficult issues. Besides, the different international reporting standards make it the ESG benchmarking more complex. At the evaluate phase of the bloom, the work of a JD.com demonstrates the progress and also shows contradictions of between the quick expansion of digital and the green environment. Opens in the reporting and good governance will be critical and long-term impact. Cultural diversity in JD.com workforce. JD.com has a multicultural workforce which is located in China, Japan, and US and Southeast Asia. The philosophy of company, which is respect, inclusions, collaborations, promotes open communication and equal opportunities through its global talent program. It provides leaders who can operate in a variety of business settings, and the Women Empowerment Network has increased the number of women in management to 36%. JD Fair Growth Plan will provide fairness in the compositions and training opportunities to the rural staff and urban staff, thus in the UN SDG and 10 which emphasizes to less inequalities, nonetheless of the process of international team mitigation complicated to miscommunications emerge because of the language barriers, various norms and communications within the understand and apply domains of the Bloom of section shows how knowledge to cross cultural and dynamics and the use of inclusive theories of management to structure of JD.com. Social impact and community engagement. The community programs at the JD.com are the examples of the social sustainability of company. JD Foundations offers business success in conjunction with the well-being of the society by offering disaster relief, health interventions, and rural development support. The Smart Supply Chain Villages projects brings farmers to national markets, providing more than 1,400 rural hubs that provide stable rural incomes to eliminating middlemen. The Smart Campus initiatives of JD has made digital tools accessible to more than 10 million learning institutions in the educator sector, and JD Health has increased access to telemedicine and unserved areas, such as programs are aligned with stakeholder theories. That is a wider accountability than stakeholders using the evaluate lens of Bloom. The CSR of JD improves and brand image and trust in the community, but the transparency is in measuring impacts on dictated by outstanding agencies, food legitimate and performance. Cultural challenges and global opportunities. JD.com has to operate in many conditions which introduce the companies to high cultural, regulatory, and ethical complexities that require adaptive global leadership. The company has been experienced divergent business norms and consumer expectations as it is grows to how to go out of China to new markets including Europe and US. The Southeast Asia hostage insights observe that Western societies attribute individualism's disseminations of authority and open feedback system and China organizations such as JD.com are normally defined by hierarchical organization, long-term operational and high power distance. These cultural differences will be influence community innovations and team cohesion unless dealt with properly to stay competitive in the world. JD.com is to develop leaders that manage such as cultural facets of the maintain to corporate identity. Another problem that makes the identical some of the tricky to the dilemmas. The Global Leadership Academy of the company handles these issues by teaching managers international intercultural communities and ethical rejections of stakeholder engagement. In the venture, the JD.com promotes cooperate on the national level of the intellectuals, moral of conscience decision making using the evaluate of create levels proposed by Bloom. This shows that JD can evaluate cultural diversity as a strategic resources critically and create new ways to operate. Leadership become more inclined, creative and ethical operation of global scale. Strategic recommendation. A number of strategic action can be suggested to enhance the sustainability, inclusivity and ethical leadership. On the one hand, the JD.com needs to increase the intercultural training at every level of management to encourage leaders that are empathic and minimize cross-cultural misunderstanding. This learning embedded into a professional development framework would be inevitable an application or creation level of Bloom because of the theoretical cultural awareness is changed into a practical leadership behavior. Second, the executive compensations of JD.com must be tied into the result of the ESG with the responsibility of the both carbon emissions and social performance. This alignment supports the ethical aspects of the decision making and relates performance evaluation and sustainable outcome. Thirdly, by monitoring materials with the help of blockchain and JD could improve the supply chain transparency and guarantee fair labor standards along with the ability to track materials. The development of the community programs through cooperations would increase even more stakeholders' inventions, resulting with the sheer value of strengthen and social license of JD.com be operational. These strategies would reach the most creative dimension of Bloom since the would demonstrated the critical thinking can lead to the creation of the innovations, practical and transformational solution that would integrate ethics, sustainability and collaboration with the rest of the world into the long-term visions of JD. Conclusion: the fact that JD.com is a growing national online sales platform into a global technological giant presents immense opportunities and critical problems. Being the main point of the company, automation, renewable energy are CSR turn into a vision of sustainable trade. However, reported risks, cultural tensions, and environmental restrictions exist. The example of these analysis based of the Bloom taxonomy has gone through the knowledge of the understanding of operations of JD to application of the theory. The analysis of the strategic responses, analysis of the outcome of the development of recommendations, a balance between technological development and moral social responsibility, becoming more competitive in the world without losing its global and environmental commitment, will also be the foundation of future prosperity of the JD.com.